get ready, put your tinfoil hat on, because this is something that I've thought about for over a decade. I've not only thought about, but I've read about. I've done so much research and reading about physics and things and psychology, and I think we're barely scraping the tip of the iceberg when it comes to reality. I fell away from my faith because I didn't get answers that I needed from where I was going growing up, but science class seemed to have more answers or questions than I could think of, but my limited understanding of that was like atoms and whatnot. But then, in order to reconcile quantum mechanics and general relativity, a new theory of physics was brought about, called superstring theory. Now, general relativity was Einstein's theory about the macro world of physics that explains the macro world, but it doesn't work on the micro world, which is quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics explains how when two particles come into contact, even when they separate, they actually still influence each other. So like the Schrodinger's cat thing of like whether when a gun goes off in a box with a cat, is the cat dead or alive? Both. Until you observe it, it's both. Which doesn't make sense, but that's true of particles. If you're observing one, it actually causes the other one to be the same as what you're observing, and vice versa. And that, in order to, the mathematical thing that they came up with that actually explained this was superstring theory. And basically what they end up coming about with it is, this is the most popular theory of physics, I think, at this point. Basically every particle in the universe, it's not just an atom, it's a string vibrating at a different frequency. And each string has access to 11 dimensions. One is time and 10 are space. And this will be important in a second. Each string has faint connections with others that it comes into contact with. So a string in your finger billions of years ago might have made contact with a string that is currently in a star going supernova billions of light years away. And the light of that dying star, because of that interconnection, might never reach you if you were not here to observe it. It might be because of that interconnection, which is really cool. So like things are not just causal. Cause and effect is entropy. It's something that is not just cause and effect. It's something, that can go forwards and backwards. Entropy is something that can go forwards or backwards. Some science is suggesting. If you ever seen a movie Tenet by Nolan, that explores it really in a really cool way. But basically, when it comes to superstring theory, if we're able to use the technology and understanding of technology we have to come up with these devil boxes that are destroying the fabric of society, with social media and algorithms, who's to say that we won't destroy the fabric of reality when we learn how to access superstring theory and manipulate it? And who's to say that if somebody can, they already are? And if they are, that sounds like you're describing God and what he's already doing in the world. It sounds like the domain of God, not us, not men. It sounds like something that God has access to, and we are just seeing much like a filmmaker making films, a scientist looking into superstring theory is just glimpsing a small, infinitesimal fraction of the world, the amazing creation that God understands that we don't, that he invented. And when it comes to the mind, I think, is beyond our 3 dimensions. The mind is, when someone dies, I've heard stories where when someone dies, it feels like their presence leaves the room. They're no longer there. You can feel it. And I think that has something to do with superstring theory. the multidimensional. I think we're at this point where we're having breakthroughs with quantum computing. And quantum computing is just something that utilizes our deepest understanding of physics and quantum mechanics in order to speed up and dramatically just dramatically improve the speed in which we compute problems and the computational speed of computers, ability of computers. And Google had a breakthrough on it, and they wrote a paper on it, and they said, we think that the computer is outsourcing the problem to other computers in other dimensions of time and space. And we don't know how it works. I think it's a quote. And that makes sense to me. And if our mind operates in a similar fashion, I think our mind is as an artist, if we experience, like I do, life imitating the art I make, not just the other way around, when you spend a lot of time, passion, love, energy, intention, and work on a film or writing it, it's almost like you're shooting light or waves out into the universe that you don't see, and it's being reflected back. It's like sound bouncing around or light bouncing around, light bouncing off a mirror to reflect back, or I'm saying something and that wall is making the sound bounce back to me, reflections. And I think we're experiencing reflections in the bulk dimensions that we don't see as artists when our life starts to imitate the art that we make. I'm not making this up. This is just stuff that I'm observing. At some point, I might make a science out of this. I might have a paper written on it. Actually, was it Carl Jung wrote a paper on this? It's called Synchronicity, where and it's not exactly the same thing, but he wrote a paper about how there was things that happened that were beyond mere coincidence. And this is like early on, before coming back to church. It's, there was things where therapy clients would be talking about a dream that they had about this really rare beetle that's not even in their area. And then he heard a scratching on the window, but didn't want to interrupt the therapy session. And then finally the scratching on the window got so bad that he got up, opened the window, and inflew something into his hand. And then he showed it to the client and says, "Is this the beetle you were describing in your dream?" And they said, "Yes." And those beetles don't exist in the area they're in. And he just mentioned case after case of things that were statistically improbable. Statistically, those things don't happen simultaneously. They don't happen. It's not a coincidence. There's something beyond it, something underneath it, underpinning it. And superstring theory just seems like an avenue to understand and explain that and adventure into this. And all these things that I'm mentioning right now, these are things that we don't see or understand yet. These are things that I have not seen anyone explain yet. These are things that I've noticed that no one really talks about. And then when I talk about it, I get stared at like I have multiple heads, which is fine. But there's something about it, that this universe that we don't fully understand. And what's funny is all of these synchronicities and things that I experienced actually brought me to Christ. It brought me to my church that I have. It's brought me more and more amazing experiences, more growth and love in my life. It feels like I've been guided by some unseen person that loves me. And the more I get to know Christ, the more I read the Bible, the more I have fellowship, the more I pray, the more I get to know who it was that was guiding me all this time.